All right, so let me tell you where this whole idea came from. So I am, of course, a TV weatherman originally, a meteorologist. And I've been using chroma key for years and years now. I mean, I remember first stepping in front of chroma key in 1980 for real. That was actually after I had already dabbled a little bit in it. And in 1980, I was just thrown in front of it. I had to get used to actually looking and pointing live at green screen stuff, all right? And it was just called chroma key then. Of course, I was pointing at a green screen. And you may be familiar with this, seeing a weatherman point back. And the way we did that is we had a monitor on the side, okay? So what I'm looking at there is sort of a cheat monitor that would be on your left side of the screen here, as you see on the bottom left-hand picture. Now, I then took that chroma key and green screen stuff, and I applied it to marketing for myself really early on. Stuff that you're seeing now become experimental and more predominant in the marketplace in terms of interviews and live chroma key. I was doing that in 2006, but it was really a pain in the you-know-what to do live chroma key, so I just eventually started to concentrate more on the after green screen stuff. That is, you shoot yourself in front of green screen, then you could replace the background later. And that's exactly what I did on the lower right-hand side of your screen. You can see in that particular promotion, it was called Killing It with Kindle, and I was in front of one of the backgrounds that we'll be talking about today. So previously, available videos looked effects-driven or unnatural in terms of the backdrops. All right, so up to 2012, when I first did this webinar that you're on right now, as a matter of fact, everything was just like, how can I put it, digitized. It just didn't look real. And I had this idea of being able to put myself in front of natural backgrounds, which has become very popular. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to that. All right? The advantage to that is that you can actually put yourself anywhere in the world, and if you do it right, the way that I'm going to teach today, right now, as a matter of fact, right now, you will actually be able to legitimately place yourself in an environment that you wouldn't not necessarily be there. Now, you may have been there in the past. You may want to be there. You may find that it is really good for business to be there because it's in front of, let's say, a client's store. Let's say you get a video of this client of yours. He's a shop owner. You could put him right in front of the store if you know what you're doing. Right in front. And you could do that even if he's not standing in front of the store. I mean, if he could just get himself in front of a green wall, or with chroma key, you could even do it sometimes on a white wall, or you get an actor from Fiverr, or you get me or somebody to do the actual commercial for the shop owner. You could put us right in front of his shop, even though we could be a half a globe away. All right, so I want to stress that this isn't just for prettiness. This is also for business reasons that we're doing this, so that we can actually wrap in the business that we're helping into the scene. Now, other available natural setting videos that I had run into, and to this day the same problem exists. They're generally all wrong for green screen backdrops. And when I actually give you as a bonus, or whether you get a bonus from someone else, or you go out and purchase a package of videos, you really need to go through them and make sure that they're correct for the proper green screen use, the natural look. And that's what we'll be talking about. You see, those videos are usually too short, right? So they will jump because every time they end, they have to start from the beginning again. Or there'll be nowhere to stand. We'll talk about that. I call that crowding. Or the lighting will be completely wrong. It won't match what you're putting in front of the background. Or they'll be moving things in the background if it's a still shot, which will be all wrong because a car, for instance, looks like it should be moving. So we'll be talking about that as well. Now, let me give you a quick example. So these are my kids on a boat right here, Brad and Bria. And we were actually on a vacation out in Hawaii where I shot a lot of the backdrops that you're going to see today. And let's just see if you could guess a couple of things that is wrong with this image, because there are a couple of things wrong right off the bat that we're looking at if this is a still image, all right? So imagine you're putting an actor or yourself in this shot on the boat. But it's a still image because you could use stills or videos. Why would this not work as a still image? We'll just throw out some ideas. If you could just answer me in the question answer box. Okay, Norman says there's no room. That's correct. There's no room to stand. That's what I call crowding. Clive says the same thing. Sun is too close. Barb has the very important one. The water is not moving. And Clay says no place to stand. That's right. Okay, I'm looking at some of the others. Ed says lights. The lighting is incorrect somewhat because it's a cloudy sky, so that could work. Water movement, green background. No, that's not going to be a problem in this case. We could replace the green with this. And the horizon, says Guy. I have to think about that one. You aren't going to walk on water. That's the crowding issue. Yeah, we can't walk on the water. We have to be on the boat, so I'd have to be on the left, which is too close to Brad. The horizon is tilted. Yep, that's another good point. Now, the reason the horizon is tilted, okay, and let me see who put that out there, Bob, is because the boat's rocking. So we don't have the boat rocking either, all right? So you get the idea. There are things wrong with that. So why green screen? Well, you could break out of your location. You could go anywhere in the world. You could do these cool effects and backgrounds. I mean, just in general, why green screen? And you could deliver your green screen video to others to produce. In other words, if you are lazy and you don't want to do this green screen stuff, editing yourself, you can get somebody else to do it for you. So it's a very exciting thing. It's caught on a lot. I first made this particular slide that you're looking at right here. I actually made this back in 2012 when it was not very popular at all, so I had to answer the question, why green screen more? Now, of course, everybody wants in. It's also called chroma key, by the way, all right? By the way, this is another example of how you could use green screen. This is from the movie Bad Romance, which is Ian Del Carmen's movie. It's one of the funniest low-grade movies, I have to call it, with famous Philippine actors that you've ever seen. And somehow he was able to insert me into the movie doing a weather forecast just because I had green screen. So, again, I was able to contribute to a movie halfway around the world because I had that green screen behind me. I was able to put in Filipino maps right there. Just a little aside. All right, before we get into the meat of the discussion today, because this really does get meaty, I want to talk in general about things when it comes to recording your green screen. First, recording you, right? Not necessarily selecting the backgrounds. Let's talk about recording you. You'll hear a lot today about me talking about keeping the lighting even, both indoors and outdoors, especially if you're outdoors, and that is because you don't want to have a light, let's say, shine on one side of your face and not on the other, because then it won't match the subsequent background that you put in later. So that's one trick right away, one tip right away. You want to keep your lighting even on you, and later on you're going to want to keep the lighting even when you pick the background. Now, to achieve even lighting outdoors, you do it by shooting on a cloudy day or when it's in the shade and there's no real sun in the distance, or when it's morning before the sun is really high enough to make an issue out of it, or later in the afternoon towards evening. And this helps a lot, all right? So keep that in mind, that a lot of the shots that I took, the most successful ones, the ones that I like the best, are usually the ones that are shot on cloudy days. Bright clouds is usually the best, like those really high cirrus clouds, those milky clouds that kind of blurt out the sun but leave just a little bit of the sun that you can see. Those are really good. Now, you'll pick your outdoor shots to match, as I mentioned. You'll shoot them on a cloudy day if possible, not with bright sunlight if possible, which casts shadows as well and also implies lighting from one direction. Now, there are exceptions to this, which can yield spectacular matches. Like, for instance, if you're in a beach scene and you can light yourself from one direction and the beach is lit from one direction, then it looks extremely natural. And I think I have a shot in here today that I'll show you where you can take that extra step and try to match the lighting. All right, so If you don't want to worry about matching the lighting, then just do everything on a cloudy day and you'll be all set. Other tricks to recording yourself. In general, record your audio by keeping the camera close to you or have a lavalier microphone because it sounds so much better when you're closer to the microphone. All right, this is just a general tip. Now, wide-angle lens is a trick I've been using for years to achieve this. If you use a wide-angle lens, if it gets really wide, then it starts to look a little funky. But if it's just wide enough, like many cameras that are out now allow you to do, and the talk about cameras will come later at the 10 o'clock hour, but the wide-angle lens will allow you to keep the camera close so that you can sound better without necessarily needing an external microphone. So that's another trick that I want you to, just sort of jot down. And then there's editing tricks, and I'll talk about those towards the end of the webinar. I've jotted a couple of those down as well, because when you actually go to put things together, there are so many ways to make your life so much easier than having to record something over and over again. You actually don't have to do that. You don't have to start from the beginning, and that's going to be an exciting discussion too. All right, so now let's move on to the meat of the discussion. Before I do, I just want to see if anyone has any questions on the stuff we talked about so far. We'll have most of the questions answered at 10 o'clock. Douglas says he almost slept through it. Norman, what's the difference between green and blue screen? It's just in the editing later on, Norman. What happens is you could shoot yourself in front of any solid color, but the colors that get harder and harder to remove would then be blue, would be the next hardest color to remove. White would then be the next hardest color to remove because too many things about you are similar to that color. So it's in the editing. So blue screen is something that I used at some of the television stations that I've worked at. I've tried blue screen here in my studio, and I found that the green color was easiest to remove. And in fact, some of the software out there like VideoPal, and hi all the VideoPal folks that came, I got to tell you, that works best on a bright green background. It's the easiest one to remove. Rob says helpful info. Thank you very much. Can't you use flick graph to create motion on a still? Yes, that's an interesting point, but I never really thought about that. Using a animated GIF, Norman, I never thought about using an animated GIF as a backdrop for, that's pretty clever. I'll have to try that. Norman's referring, and Norman's question is asking about how you can have animated GIFs or things like that rather than a video in the background. And I never really thought about that, so I'll have to give that some thought. So Tony asks, VideoPal removes white and green. Automatically it does. I've had some problems tweaking on white and even green, dark green. So that's why the best would be a light green coloration on VideoPal is my suggestion if you have that software. But it does work on different colors as well. Is the lavalier mic a brand or type? It's a type, Mark. In fact, let me get my question answer box expanded so I could read more of your question. It's a good question. A lavalier mic means it's the kind that you stick on your tie or, you kind of slit it up through your clothing and then bring it close to your mouth. They're kind of a pain because you have to loop the wire. Women have a lot of trouble getting the wire up usually through their clothes. But it gives you a much clearer sound, all right? So in television, we always had lav mics. We had the wireless ones. Wireless ones tend to give a lot of static, so I prefer to go with hard wire long ones, which can also be a problem because they could get tangled as they go from your camera to you since they're very thin wire. So that's what a lav mic is. It just goes right next to your mouth or close to your chin. Usually in television, it would be on your tie that you would clip it. It actually looks like a tie clip. Yes, I will cover blurring the background, Bill, although we're going to be talking about doing it naturally mostly, but we will be talking about how important it is to have depth of field. I use an erasure tool in Premiere Pro to remove the background. I didn't know you could do that with videos. That's very interesting. That's from Alexandria. Another thumbs up to Video Pal. Thank you. How does the shading caused by light on the green screen affect the end result? Okay, so the problem is if you have a shadow that is cast, right, in the particular. Well, let's start with you in front of the background. If you are shooting yourself and you have a shadow, then that's going to produce all kinds of problems because the shadow is going to be something that you'll have a hard time getting rid of when you remove the green. If, on the other hand, there's a shadow in the background, it's going to be hard to explain why you don't have a shadow. See, that's the difficulty in matching up the scenes. Will I show us how to do this in Camtasia Studio? I do have videos on that, okay? But at 10 o'clock on the release of Green Screen Academy, they have 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 pieces of software beyond Camtasia that does green screen removal, and they have instructions for that. Some newer programs have intros and outros before the videos. What do you do to match them to the main video background so they kind of match? Okay, that I think is beyond our discussion today. I'll have to give that some thought, Scott. Where can I get a lav mic? Lavalier microphones will be easy to find on Amazon. I have used a cinematograph of a waterfall, part still, part motion, which, yeah, see, that's what he was talking about before. Never thought of that, using a cinematograph as a backdrop for a green screen. That's brilliant. Okay, let's move on. Now remember, there's 2 planes when it comes to green screen. There's you and the green. That's the first plane. That's actually not the 2 planes. That's the first. So in this case, I'm showing the model and the green behind her. That's your foreground plane. And the background plane is the still picture or video. Now, video as a background plane is just coming in, I mean, in the last couple of years. It used to be most people used stills, but video is becoming quite popular as a background. That's good. Now, remember, there could also be sound, so you'll want to make sure that the sound is correct to the scene. So the foreground is going to consist of some sort of green surface behind you. It doesn't have to be fancy at all right? It could be a green or blue screen, evenly lit. Now, you could use professional lighting, or you could use any sort of dull lighting. You know, you don't want to have a bulb that's too bright because of the shadow problem I told you about. And you want to try to evenly light it by putting the lighting above, to the sides, below, wherever you can. And the easiest way to do it, I found, is if you can somehow cast bright lights against a wall, as long as the bright lights aren't facing you. If you're in a small room with white walls, as an example, you could just light up the whole room. So there's all different kinds of ways. You could play with the lighting, or you could get professional lights. I have a very small studio in my vacation place. It's only 6 feet by 8 feet, and that's actually giving it more credit than it's due, because there's a bench in there that takes up almost half of the width of that room. So it's more like a 3 by 7.5 foot space. It's hard to describe just how little room there is in there. And yet I have a green screen studio that I used for my VideoPal launch. And as you know, VideoPal was extremely successful in terms of the number of sales we did. The sales video is very convincing. And I did that all from the tiniest little studio. So you can't tell me that you don't have room for a green piece of fabric. I mean, you could even use a green, piece of cloth. I mean, it doesn't have to be something that you get professionally off of Amazon. Any Kelly green wall. I know Matt, a friend of mine, he actually painted his wall green, and he didn't tell his wife. And then he did this video as she walked into the house of her reaction to the green wall. Let me tell you, it wasn't a pretty reaction. She did not appreciate the fact that he started painting his walls green. He thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. She didn't think it was so funny. Normally, indoors is where you're going to do your shooting, but you can have a portable green screen that you use outdoors. They make them. And you can use grass. Grass works really well if you get a bright green grass that doesn't have any sort of holes in it, and you shoot from above, and that works really well as a beach scene. We'll see that 2 slides down. So in the foreground, you want to stand away from your green fabric or wall to avoid dark shadows. Now, just as a little aside, I used to get into fights all the time with the directors when I was on TV because they wanted me to stand away from the wall, but I loved hitting the wall with my fist to actually pretend that the weather map that was behind me was really a map behind me. So I used to like knock on the wall and say right here in South Dakota or right here in Massachusetts, and I'd tap on the wall where I was referring to. And that caused a shadow, and it caused this problem with the shadows not being able to key out correctly. And they used to, admonish me all the time, and I just loved to do that, so I was always getting in trouble. But you'll stay out of trouble best if you stay in front of the green wall enough so that there won't be that shadowing. The other way to get around that is to try to light the wall from behind you, not just in front of you. Now, you don't want to wear pure white, pure black, because it just doesn't look that great. And I do wear black sometimes, and I have a little bit of trouble. But white is really the one to stay away from. And, of course, you don't want to wear anything close to the background, or you'll disappear unless you're trying to do that. So on St. Patrick's Day when I was on television, what I would do all the time is on St. Patty's Day, I would bring a green shirt on, and I would have everybody see that it was a green shirt, and then I'd let the director actually, work on the controls, and then I'd show them how the green shirt would make me disappear, and that's why I don't wear it on St. Patrick's Day. So I would put the green shirt on then, and then you'd see me disappear. So again, you will disappear if you wear the same color as the background, so you have to avoid that as well. More foreground considerations. You need to dress right. If you're out in a cold environment, you should be dressing correctly. In just a few slides, you'll see that this shot that I have right here, which I shot indoors to an outdoor background, I also have a shot of me outdoors in this scene, and you'll see that I was dressed the same way. All right, so you want to dress for your environment. You can even add a silent fan to add wind. All right, keep that in mind. And finally, in terms of a foreground consideration, if your background is going to be sunlit, then use a bright light on the proper side, or even shoot with the green screen outdoors or on grass outdoors. Now, this is one of the most natural green screens I ever did, right here on the bottom right. I'm going to expand this so that you can see it. I am not outside at the beach here. I am actually outside on a green lawn. I did shoot this outside. You can see the sun is hitting me. All right, it's hitting me on my left side, your right, my left, and it is matching the fact that I'm on a bright sunlit beach, which is the background. So even though this was shot outside, I was certainly nowhere near the beach. I was 100 miles from the beach when I shot this. All right, but I did give a beach-like scene by matching the lighting. So I talked about matching the lighting earlier, taking that extra step, and that's what I did in that case. So we spoke about all the considerations for your foreground scene, which is you. Now let's talk about the background plane, and that's really where I think I excel, because I thought of these common sense things, which other people just kind of left out. All right? Background plane, well, let's talk about the natural stuff. What works for stills and videos? Let's start with in general for stills and videos, rather than talk about just stills and just videos. Then we'll break it down. So as I mentioned before, we want to choose a cloudy or shady area which you will be living in, unless the subject was shot in sunlight, which we just covered. But really important, which you all really keyed in on very quickly, is no foreground objects or people, because there'll be nowhere to stand. All right? So in this case, so many of you got this right before that even if I tried to put myself on the boat here, there's just no room for me. I'd be too large. You'd see like just my stomach or something right here. Let me expand this. Just want to make sure you guys can see this, all right? My battery is only 19, my battery is 15%, thank you. The left is the real one, and the right was the green screen one. Now, one of the ways that you can correct, I should fire up my Camtasia for this, that green coloration that sometimes happens is there's usually a chroma shift that you can do, like in Camtasia. It's very easy to add the opposite color of green, so they'll kind of wipe out any green extra coloration. So that's good that you guys are able to tell the difference. But if the one thing that you can say is if you didn't see this guy on the left, that's me, you only saw this one, you might not know it's green screen right away. And as a matter of fact, one of the reasons is because I'm dressed properly and my height is correct to the scene. So what I've done here is I've matched my height by standing in front of the scene first before I shot the video. So that's going to be a key thing that I'm going to be talking about today. Same thing here in Aspen, Colorado. Notice when I shoot this video, if I am going to stand next to the fence, then I should be relatively small. And I could see that here. That's left. That's with me in the scene. That's with me not in the scene. Same thing here. Now in this case, when I went on this sort of romp, let me see if I can make this bigger, through Hawaii, I picked scenes to place myself in later. And I started doing that by placing people in my family in those scenes and taking shots of them to see how later I should be standing. Okay? So that's what I mean by placing correctly and matching heights. Same thing here. That's me skiing. That's the same scene. If I'm going to pretend to be a skier, I have to know generally where I should be standing. And you could be doing the same thing when you take your videos. Or you could picture where you'd be standing in a video that you select. Now, if you shoot with a fairly wide angle, you could zoom in later for smoother editing. Now, the reason I mention that is because remember I said I have editing tricks and tips for you? Well, that's going to pop up later in our discussion at 10 o'clock. And there's also a natural standing area in both these shots, on the left and the right. See how careful I was to pick a natural standing area in this particular shot. So it'll look very natural to put me right here. It doesn't have to be in the center necessarily. This one is pretty close to center. It would be a little off to the right, right here. Let's talk about depth of field. You brought this up earlier. Depth of field happens in the real video shooting when you're in the scene. That is, the further back you go, the farther back you go, the more the scene becomes less focused. It goes out of focus, and it looks very natural as the things, as you move closer to you, become more in focus. It happens more often than you realize in natural shots. And if you do this, it will tell the brain that this is a very natural scene. If you're very clear and the background isn't, especially in the distance, that's going to help you a lot in terms of convincing someone that that scene is natural. All right. Now, this is for the still images only. And we brought this up before. The first way that you can make still images seem more natural is you could add the appropriate background sound. The second way, and so many of you got this right, is you should have no normally moving objects in a still image that aren't moving, such as a boat rocking, the waves moving, a car shooting down the street. If you have a car that's obviously moving, but it's in the middle of the street, but just standing there, you can't do the video in front of it and make it look natural. The same with snow. You can't use falling snow in a still background because the snow should be falling, and your brain knows that. And as I mentioned, alter the background sound if needed. Make sure it is natural to the scene but not distracting. Now, this is another consideration, sound, but I just want to mention briefly, one of my tips regarding sound is to take the best portion of the sound that you have for that scene or another related scene and then just keep repeating it. So, for instance, when you're at a playground, if you want the noise of kids playing in the playground in the background, that's great. But then if someone falls off the monkey bars and starts screaming and crying and you don't want that in there, just edit that out. All right? Not just even lighting, but steady lighting. Now, that is something I ran into on one of my most favorite backdrops. I shot this in the same location that Jurassic Park was actually shot. All right? But I have a problem with this video. I'm going to try to play it. I'm not sure it'll play on your end, but right now I'm playing the video, and if you watch closely, you'll see the sun keeps popping in and out. First, the sun is on the foreground. Later, the sun's going to hit the mountain. Like right now, this palm tree is starting to light up. And the problem here isn't so much that this is happening because I'm in the shade, and when I'm standing here, it's conceivable that I'm in the shade and there's just these patches of sunlight. See how the sun just disappeared on the bottom here. The problem is when you're editing later on, you can't match scenes if you want to extend this. So that's why it's important, number one, to use very long videos so that you don't run into that problem of having jump cuts when you put the video together with itself to make it longer. And the second thing, of course, is, wait a minute, let me press that again. So again, as I was saying, you don't want to have that variable lighting where it starts bright and then goes dim and then goes bright again and then goes dim again, because it's going to be so hard to edit later on. Background movement on videos, it's the opposite. It's mandatory with videos, or there's no point. Why didn't you just use the still image with sound if nothing's moving? You need leaves rustling, you need cars moving, you need people moving, you need snow or rain. The only limitation I'd say is if it's a really heavy snow, then you've got a problem because it'll be obvious that it's not falling in front of you. But even that, I could argue, would be okay because you could be under an overhang. But light snow and rain actually is beneficial. Let's see if you could see this. I'm going to play this video. Hopefully it's playing on your end. The reason why I find this very important is because when the snow is falling at this rate, a moderate rate, for some reason the brain plays a trick. And as this snow falls, it appears to fall in front of you, even though it doesn't. So if you put yourself in front of this screen, the mind tricks you into thinking the snow is falling in front of you, even if it's not. Now, I don't have the example of it right here, but believe me, it looks really good to be in a light to moderate snowy environment in terms of adding realism. It just looks like that snow's passing right in front of you, even if you're wearing a big down jacket. And that's what you should be wearing, of course, if you place yourself in that screen. The other thing regarding videos only is as the video changes, as the environment changes, you have the power to actually make it all make sense by editing it later and placing things time-wise to what you're saying. Now, what I'm talking about here is interacting with the characters. So who are the characters in this particular video? Obviously, it's the chickens. So these chickens just walked right up and through this video when I shot it. Now, when I put myself in front of it and I did a sales video, in the middle of the sales video, I stop, I look to my right, and I say, oh, where'd you come from? So that makes it look very natural. When you actually look down at the chickens and say, whoa, and other things like that can happen. If it starts raining in this, I could talk about the rain that just started. If a car drives by, I could say, let's wait for the cars to drive by. In a jogging scene, I have talked very frequently in my jogging scene about the jogger, you know, the woman or the man joggers, they jog by. I say, you know, I actually say hello to the jogger as they pass by. Let's talk more about depth of field. There is some software out there that allows you to add depth of field to videos, not just stills. Now, still images are easy to add blur to. It's easy to make it out of focus so that it looks better. And the reason it's easy to do that on stills is because you just put it into something like Photoshop and then just, create a blur. You just blur the image. Videos, it depends on the software that you're using. The Explaindio group has a very easy software. I think it's called Explaindio FX Creator or something like that, where it allows you to actually fuzz out. One of the effects is to fuzz out the video behind you. And in fact, I think I have an example of that in a minute. I think, as a matter of fact, it's this one. My favorite Jurassic Park one, all right, that I showed you earlier. This is clear. You can see the background is all completely clear. But then I added depth of field right here. Do you see how it became much less clear? Now, this is good and it's bad. The reason it's good is because we've now got the background to blur out, similar to what would happen in a natural scene. All right? We've actually added it here. The bad news here is that the foreground rocks are also blurred out, and this tree is also blurred out, and that should be less blurry than the background. And that's why I encourage you to find videos or shoot videos that have real depth of field, like this one. So I shot this just a few days ago. And I shot this right out my backyard in Vermont. All right, front yard. It's not even a yard. Let's call it back forest. But right off my porch. And we're looking at a stream with waterfall. And the waterfall is just a little fuzzy. The stream behind it is a lot fuzzy. The woods way behind are really, really blurry. And that's because this is true depth of field. But what's important here is there's a tree in the front. This is a black spruce. And you can see that that's crystal clear. And I was going to stand even in front of that, even though it looks like there's a little bit of crowding. Is there crowding, though? Let's talk about that again. Well, there's a way that you can find out, and that's by actually going and placing yourself in the scene first and testing it out. Now, in this case, that's what I'm doing. I'm seeing if I'm being crowded out by that black spruce tree. And even though it looks like I am, there was right here a little hill that I was standing on that was in the way. If that hill wasn't there, I actually would have fit perfectly. So this I have now deemed as okay. Just barely, but it's okay. I'm not crowded out. There was a little bump, and I couldn't get rid of that rock, so I ended up being a little higher. But if I was 2 inches shorter, or if that rock wasn't there, I would have fit in front of this tree. So that's how I tested. And in fact, I like this so much, I'm going to play it again for you and expand it, that I've decided that for everyone that has stayed with us on the webinar today, I'm going to get into your hands somehow, some way, with the help of my partners, Luann and Danish, this very video, all right, for hanging in us with us. And you could use that as your background. Now, Green Screen Academy 2 deals with everything else, not the outdoor stuff. There's just virtually no one that deals with this outdoor stuff. And there's a lot of bonuses involved there, too. So what I'm going to do is, if you will bear with me for just a moment, since a lot of you have been asking in the question-answer box some questions in regards to this product that's coming up, I'm going to give you a little tour of what they include in just a minute, since it's such a low-cost product. So this is what you get. You get actually a lot of different things. You get training, you get green screen training, all the other stuff that I didn't talk about on the type of things that you should be doing, like equipment to be getting and stuff like that. You get that training with Green Screen Academy 2. In addition, you get tutorials to 3, not 1, but 3 different pieces of software. 2 are public domain, DaVinci Resolve, which is very good, but it's very complex. It is complicated, and HitFilm. And they have their own Windows-based editor, which is much simpler to use, even simpler than Camtasia, and also works for green screen. And you get the training tutorials to all 3. So you get training for green screen in general. You get training for their editor that they give you. That's one piece of software. You get training for DaVinci Resolve, which is they give you links to get that software. And you get training for HitFilm. Now, DaVinci Resolve is so advanced, as a matter of fact, that it's used for Hollywood movies, for real, like Avatar. I mean, it's used for big Hollywood movies. And this is not just a trial. You're not getting the 4K version of whatever it is. I forgot, but you do get an amazing amount of power. And if you could learn DaVinci Resolve, you'll be all set. Or if you could get somebody on your team to use it, that's just an incredible piece of software. I did dabble in HitFilm a couple of years ago. That I knew did green screen very well. So you get the software. Here's their software editor right here. It's called Green Screen Editor Download. DaVinci, this is where to get it, and HitFilm, that's where to get it. And then in their download area, they have their main package and expansion packages. And then they have a reseller. That's going to be one of their OTOs. So let's just take a look at some of the backgrounds. Now, remember I said that what I do, and as a matter of fact, what I'm going to give you as a bonus, is I not only teach you about the green screen outdoor backgrounds, but as a bonus, as you'll see in a moment, I also do give you the outdoor backgrounds as well, not just the training. So we'll go to my bonus page in a second, and we'll take a look at that. I just happened to land on their members area right now. And in their members area, I wanted to show you some of the kind of studio backgrounds that you get. So I know this may look a little small on your screen, but this is a chalet out in the country, and you have a little green screen here where you could also add a moving picture. So you will be in the foreground, this will be in the background, and then one step further in the background on a third plane, there could be something in that TV set in the background there. There's what's called a Christmas studio with the windows drawn and not drawn in terms of the shades. You could see that right there. And you could play all these, as get an example, just by clicking play. See the snow falling in the background in this beautiful scene. Just crazy how much detail they put into these. There's so much stuff to show you here. Garage fitness studio, hospital studio, don't ask, I haven't figured it out. Kids studio, living room studio. Let's look at that one because that's an important one. You know, these indoor shots, even though they're digitized, are very natural looking, and they're really enjoyable as a backdrop. We have living room studio, modern home office. All right, let's get out of the winter scene and take a look at spring. Really nice. See how the leaves are blowing in the background? This one may be a little tricky with lighting because normally you'd be lit from behind there. They do a lot with weather, my partners on this. Modern office studio, news studio. Any news studio background that you get, and we're going to be giving you some bonus ones, by the way, tend to run at least $50 or $75 when you try to get just one, when you go searching for it on the web. Here's a good news studio. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. Imagine getting all these studios for this crazy $25 that they're going to be charging. Just amazing. That's News Studio 2. Home Office Studio. Waiting Room Studio. Workplace Office 2 Studio. Just an amazing amount of stuff. And now let's go to that actual link that I told you about. Todd suggests.com/green, just green. And let's take a look at my bonuses as well, because remember I said I'm going to cover that big hole, right? When I say I'm going to cover the big hole, I'm talking about the outdoor stuff.
Hi, it's Todd Gross.
Aha. Yeah, that's going to be me on the video there. All right, so we show you all the studios here too, or a lot of them, and then we show you the bonuses. So remember all those great scenes I just showed you, those outdoor scenes from my trip back in 2012 to Hawaii and other places such as Massachusetts shot, New York State shot, here's the jogging shot. I mean, really great backgrounds. We have a city background right here. This beach scene I use all the time. This is a Boston city scene that works really well. This is one of those jogger scenes. This is a waterfall scene. This is very popular. It's a man in a hammock behind. Okay? You get all that as a bonus if you get through my link by going to toddsuggests.com/green. You actually get all these backgrounds, just like the ones that we've been showing you. Plus, you get that bonus background, too, just for attending today, if you go to that page, that toddsuggests.com/green page. We also give you giveaway rights to 10 virtual background sets. You have giveaway rights to these. And remember I said before, some of these studios are extremely expensive when you go to try to find them on the internet. And here we're giving you not only those studios, but we're giving you the giveaway rights to those. We also have white label rights to stock media files. I'm not going to show you all the bonuses. There's just too many. But let me show you another white label rights product here. Stock Media Rush, Volume 1. You have white label rights to. You can actually resell those. And white label rights to Graphics Wizard. Whew. Does everybody realize how unbelievable this is of a value? That is that Green Screen Academy 2 for $25 for the next 6 hours or 5 hours plus now. Does everyone realize that? This is not a monthly fee. No, people are saying, what are you talking about? It's toddsuggests.com/green, and I'll take questions in just a moment. Let me get my PowerPoint keynote back on there. Can everyone see this? toddsuggests.com/green. You can actually pick this product up now for the next few hours for only $25 and has all that stuff that I just showed you. I mean, this value that we're talking about here is unprecedented. You know, people keep saying monthly fee. No, it's not a monthly fee. It's not. I know webinars you're used to paying $4.95, $2.95 at the end of a webinar. We're not even done yet. I didn't even get to the question and answers yet. I have more tricks to show you, like this one. Like when you make a mistake, when you're editing, you want to do it, well, when you're recording it, you want to freeze and continue so that when you edit it, you could just edit the pause out. So you don't have to start over again. That's another tip I wanted to tell you about today. I'll give you a better example of that in just a moment. And again, thanks for hanging in there with us. Whether you pick this up or not, go to that page, toddsuggests.com/green. And the reason is, let me see if I could copy this. Edit, copy. Edit, paste. It worked. The reason I want you to go there, even if you don't pick this up, is because you get this for free. This video has a background. toddsuggests.com/green and toddsuggests.com/green OTO1 if you want to take a look at what their one-time offer is. And I'll look at that with you in a few minutes. So I'm firing up Camtasia Mac, but it's version 3. Now this version that I have is the same, almost identical, to Camtasia version 9 for Windows. So as you watch along, you actually will be able to follow. Did you see my son starts talking about Twin Peaks there at the upper right. He's so excited about Twin Peaks. Hope he doesn't start posting anything political or anything. All right. So let's call up a video. I'll open a recent project. Let's see, which should I open up? Here's one. I have one of those jump cuts in here, and why don't we call it a background? So you see me in front of the green, all right? So we're going to get a background in here. I'm going to call up a background File, import, media. That'll be fun. I go to my Dropbox. I try to be organized, so what I've done is I've put everything in what I call shared backgrounds in my Dropbox. I have chroma key backgrounds. We're going to go to one of the backgrounds that I am giving you today. How about this one, since you are getting this one? Remember the waterfall? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the waterfall behind me in the appropriate locations. I actually split this video into two pieces, which will be perfect for our discussion. We'll talk about that in a minute. But right now, let me actually show you how to get rid of the green in Camtasia. The easiest way is to click on Visual Effects. Scroll down a little bit, and then pick this guy where it says Remove a Color. Drag that to here, or better yet, to what you highlight down below. So we're going to highlight all the areas where I'm standing in front of green. I just highlighted that here. We're going to drag Remove a Color to that. Then from there, we're now going to click on Properties on the right. We're going to pick, well, we could pick sound, and we can increase the sound if we wanted. I have it at 167%. I'll put it at 175 or 180. And now I'm going to click this tab. This is the video portion, Visual Properties. All right, this is all happening in the upper right. Is everybody following what I'm doing so far? Yeah, I did try to iron my screen, and I shouldn't be wearing a black shirt. I can't help myself. Into one of the Office videos. Okay, so in Camtasia, right now, I'm showing you adding a video into the backdrop of the outdoors. Adding yourself into one of those office scenes would be the same thing as what I'm showing you now. So keep that in mind. And I'll show you how to add waterfall audio sounds too. Yeah, remind me, Eric. Okay. So here we are. We're in Camtasia. Now I've added right here, remove a color as a property. Then I clicked over here, in the upper right. Now we're going to scroll down. We're going to pick a color. Now I could do two things. I could either choose the actual green, bright green color that I'm trying to remove, or I could pick the eyedropper like this, move it back over, and then pick a color that's in between the lightest and the darkest. And that would be right here. Now I clicked on it, but notice there's a green halo around me. In order to get rid of that green halo, I now go to tolerance. Tolerance is the most important feature to tweak in Camtasia for green screen. Not softness. Remember I mentioned we'll talk about hue. That's important too, but tolerance is the most important. So we're going to go until my shirt starts to disappear by bringing it up to the right. So now I'm at 25%, 30%. We're going to go all the way till my shirt starts to disappear there at 43%. Now we're going to back off to about 38%. We want to make sure my shirt is going to come back. All right? And we still see a little bit of green around my head. Now there's a way to get rid of that. The latest version of Camtasia does this beautifully. Previous versions didn't do it as well. And that is by playing with the hue right here. What hue does is it increases to the green. It increases the offset color that will erase the green. So as I raise that up to around 20%, I'm at 21% now, you can see the green start to disappear. If you go too far with it, everything will start turning a weird color. See how everything turned weird? So you don't want to do that. But if you just tweak it up to around 20%, then you could offset the green pretty well. The tolerance, I had a little more room. I'll move that back up to 40. Now I'll check this by scrolling through the video. Now remember, we know from earlier that when I did a test that I was pretty large here, right? And I was close to the top. And I was standing right here. So now this would actually match the way it was previously. I only did that on the last frame. I shouldn't have done that. All right, so what I did is I moved myself just now, but I didn't have myself selected. I also fixed the color in only one of the scenes. Now, rather than fix that, I want to highlight the difference. Let me move myself down a little bit. Look how different I look here as compared to before the fix. See, I have much more of a green halo look. And then after the fix, this is actually closer to my more natural lighting. Believe it or not, it really worked. Now, previous versions of Camtasia didn't do this quite as well, fix the coloration that well. Now, I promised you I'd show you a little bit about the jump cuts, and then I'll look at your questions again. And by the way, for those of you who are wondering, we're all waiting for my link to work, which is toddsuggests.com/green. toddsuggests.com/green. And I'm doing some Camtasia training, which they don't include. I'm giving that to you right now. And as a matter of fact, everybody that's on the webinar today, we're going to get you a copy of my Camtasia training that I did previously. All right? So what is a jump cut? A jump cut is when I start and stop talking. I'm going to turn up my volume. And I did that because I made a mistake.
Now let's take a minute here and let Griff.
Oh, in this case, it acted as a real pause. It wasn't just a mistake.
Show us some of this magic of the very special features that are available today inside Video Matrix.
Okay, so let's pretend that was a mistake, and I didn't intentionally pause. Now I'm going to bring everything right next to each other. Now watch the problem. If I was to just continue from there, there would be what's called a jump cut. So watch.
Today inside Video Matrix. Now, how amazing!
Did you see it? It wasn't all that noticeable, but it was noticeable enough. There was a jump in terms of my actual stature, my actual speech, my expression on my face. Everything changes right here. See that? That's a jump cut. Now, it wasn't all that egregious here. I mean, it wasn't terrible. But sometimes they could be pretty bad. And when you're editing, you want to be able to get rid of that. Well, the easiest way to get, in fact, there's something else that happens, uneven lighting. Look in the background. Watch the sun pop out. On the left-hand side, right here in this shot, the sun makes an attempt at coming out. You see that? So the lighting changes as well. Well, there's a way to completely fix this. And the way to do that is to grab the entire scene. So in Camtasia, that would mean to select yourself and to select the background as well. Let me see if I could select both. Okay, I've selected both. And then increase the size. See what I'm doing? I'm increasing the size. Now it looks like I have a second camera. I'm going to give this as a question, by the way, but I'll do this question on a future webinar, and you guys, whoever remembers this, will win a prize in a future webinar. There's a movie, it's called Broadcast News, it's about 15 or 20 years old, that bases the entire theme of the movie on this one point, that the guy in the movie, the anchorman, didn't have a second camera. He did use the same camera to produce a cutaway shot. In other words, she realized that there wasn't a cameraman there, the love interest, Holly Hunter. And that was important in that movie, this one little technical point. And the technical point that we're doing that's similar is that we have just increased the size so that we won't see the jump cut.
Now let's take a minute here and let Griff show us some of this magic of the very special features that are available today inside Video Matrix. Now, how amazing is that?
Did you see what happened there? I changed the scene so much by increasing the magnification, by zooming in, that it's not clear at all that that was a jump cut. It just appears to be a different camera shot. And that is my trick that I use all the time. In fact, it's so effective and it mixes things up and makes things look good that I even use that same technique sometimes when there isn't a jump cut, just to mix it up, just to make, the scene change. It's that natural. Does anybody have any questions on what I just showed? 1987. Broadcast News was 1987? Excuse me one moment. I have to get this phone call. I'll be right back. Don't you just hate spam calls? Anyway, Broadcast News being 30 years ago is a little bit more than I think I could handle. I still think of that as the new movie that dealt with newscasts like my own. But it is a very interesting movie if you get a chance to watch it. Bruce, you said Priyatonk /OTO1 works. That is my link. You can use that. That's fine. All right, I'm going to check to see if all the links are fixed. Hold on one second. I'll be right back, and we'll talk more about this Camtasia stuff. All right, the dish says no, wait. Don't use that. All right, so guys, tell me what to use. Yeah, don't use Priyatonk. Okay. 5 minutes. They can't get front end. Link. They still seem to be having some technical difficulties. My apologies. So why don't we have fun and do some more great stuff? All right, I'll keep an eye on that Skype, guys. Thanks. I'm so lost in my Windows. How many of you guys get lost in Windows? Thanks for your patience, everyone. We'll have a replay, as I said, in case you have to leave. How do we get the Vermont Waterfall webinar background? You're getting the Vermont Waterfall webinar background. We're going to put that on the bonus page. That's going to be yours. It may not be there yet, but you will get it later on by checking that same bonus page, which is toddsuggests.com/green. And that's where we're going to be loading the new links and everything. Yeah, I get spam phone calls all the time, James. Jim, that's funny. All right. On sound, when you're out in the woods, do you record natural sound? I do. So in this case, there was natural sound. Let's see if it shows up on it. For some reason, it didn't come out. So what I would do is I would add the sound underneath. I would just put the sound in. So the way to add the natural sound, since we don't hear any here.
Finally,
oops. So you hear me, of course. Let me take me out of the picture. And now, yeah, there is some natural sound. All right, so it's not high enough. So we're going to go over to the audio, and we're going to increase it. Okay, there it is. It's still very low. So if we want to include a little bit more of a babbling brook, all we do is we go into our files, import, importing media. Now this is going to be a trick, remembering where my audio is. We're going to look for my shared audio in Dropbox. Sound effects. I seem to have put the sound effects from my videos in here. I'm looking for stream. I'm seeing avalanches. That's not going to help. Songbirds, thunderstorms. I do have sound effects to match. Look at that. I have birds, distant crickets, city park. All this I did myself, by the way. And I think of it, as I go through a day, I think that, well, I could use this sound later. Hawaii surf, but I didn't have any stream sounds, which is a problem. Volume 1, 2, 3. Volume 2. Winter silence is volume 2. Volume 3. Fall, winter. Looks like I'm going to have to make stream sounds. So let's put some heavy surf in there instead. And it will sound completely wrong, of course, but it'll be fun. Okay, so I just put in some surf sounds here.
Video matrix.
Okay, so you see it was as easy as that. It was the wrong sound, but it was kind of close. All right, I see in the upper right, you can see the guys are saying it's working, but loading slow, so we'll just keep hanging in there with them. Crashing surfer, babbling brook, that's just what we got. I could have put kids playing in the playground there. That would be, you'd have to use your imagination for that. All right, any questions on the jump cut? And any questions on optimizing for removing the grain in Camtasia? Can you explain why the OTO1 is good to purchase, or is it not really necessary? Yes. The OTO1 is if you want to use your stuff for other clients. Also, there's going to be additional backgrounds. It's a shame I can't get to it now because earlier I looked it over and there was some good stuff in there. It's not necessary that you get that to the original, in addition to the original product, if you're not going to be using it for other clients. The reason I was particularly excited about this product in general when it was brought to me to be part of as the front guy was specifically because of the low price point. I'm really big on that low pricing idea of being able to get as many people in as possible, even those that can't afford it, the upgrade. So the getting in at that $25 I thought was just fantastic. And then beyond that, that first one-time offer, which I think is $47, has a lot of stuff, including developer rights. And I wish I could look at that with you, but we'll have to be patient. I'll ask if that link is working in just a second. Where's my Skype? I'll check with the guys. Yeah, I'm not joining the GSA group, Dinesh, because what'll happen is if I join the GSA group, I'll just get confused. I won't be able to do the webinar. So anything that's important that comes out of that group, I have to post it. You'll have to filter that information, because a lot of folks still are going to have questions. All right, let me get back to the questions and answers. How do you add backgrounds or videos to the smaller TVs in the background? Scott, that's a really good question. Let's try to do that. Let me see if I could load one of my studios from the past, since I'm not in that back end right now. And we'll do that. We'll add a TV image. Really good question. Again, I'm doing this in Camtasia. They offer software, so you don't have to buy Camtasia. But a lot of you already have Camtasia, and the idea of me doing it in Camtasia is going to be very helpful for a lot of folks. So I'll continue to do it in there, and it'll be similar in any software that you do that. So I'm going to look for a studio background. All right, I'm in Camtasia. I've now put myself in the foreground. I'm going to edit by sort of right-clicking and splitting this. If you look at the lower part of the screen, you'll see what I'm doing. I'm just taking a piece of this video out by splitting the rest and deleting the rest. Then I have the image. This is just an image, not a video, of the studio. That's on the bottom. So I'm on the top. right here, and on the bottom is the studio, right there, right bottom of your screen. Now, the first thing, of course, that I want to do is I want to get rid of a few things. In the upper left, you see some chords. I want to expand out, get rid of that. Make myself bigger. Okay. Below, I have the studio. Now I want to get rid of the green. So the first thing to do to get rid of the green, do you remember what we do? We click on Visual Effects. Click on Remove Color. Bring that over. Then I'm going to go in the upper right. Okay, I'm going to choose from the upper right. And color. Going to go to tolerance first, tweak it up till my black shirt disappears, or anything disappears. I'm going to back it off about 5%. I'm going to tweak the hue. Remember how I did that before? I'm going to bring that up a little bit. And now I look perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring myself to the right. See how I'm just dragging myself to the right? Let's see how it looks so far before I put another plane in.
Hey, video folks, Griff and his team have really set the bar high on live stream video.
You see how quickly we did all that just now? I put myself in a studio scene, made it look professional. I should actually be wearing a suit and tie. In fact, it's so professional, the background. Now what we want to do in answer to your question is we want to add something in that monitor behind. So instead of playing with the foreground, my foreground, now we're going to be playing with the background as the foreground, if you can kind of get my gist. So what we need to do here is we need to go find something to put in the screen. So let's find another video for the screen. I'll do import, file, import media. We want something moving, preferably. We could just show a logo or something, though. All right, just for the sake of argument, let's just show anything in the background. We'll show this boardroom inside that monitor. It's probably a bad example, but let's do it for time's sake. So we're going to be placing this down at the bottom. Right, so I just called in an image. We could have called in a video or an image. This is going to end up going in the monitor. Now, if I were to put it on top like this, then it would be in the top plane over here. See that? But we want it underneath, so we want it at the bottom. Now, how are we going to get that to show? Well, we have to get rid of this screen now, right here. So now we're playing with this layer, track 2. Let me see if I can move this up at all. Okay. In order to do that, we now have to go back to, do you remember? Visual Effects. Pick Remove a Color, and now we're going to remove the color from here. It almost got removed automatically, but not quite. We know it's a Kelly green color, so I won't even pick this. I won't even pick the eyedropper. I'll just pick the Kelly green and tweak the tolerance up. Looks like we have a challenge. See what happens as I tweak it up? The rest of my studio is starting to disappear. We can't get it perfect. Let's see if we could fix that. I'm going to try this again by actually selecting the color with the eyedropper. Now tweak the tolerance up. That worked much better. Okay, so now we've put something in the TV monitor behind, and we could play it again.
Ranking this time with their latest syndication powerhouse. In fact, we'd proudly like to announce the release of Video Matrix. Now, Video Matrix is truly the most powerful video syndication tool released to date. And the
How did I do on that? Is everything clear there? Right, it's like layers. That's the bottom layer, Rob, is this one. The middle layer is the studio, and the top layer is me in front of my green screen. Can I include this webinar ongoingly as a bonus? Yes. It will take me a bit to edit out some of the silliness when, the link wasn't working and stuff like that. Let me see how we're doing with that, by the way. Hold on just a second. I'm going to go back to my Skype. That's my Skype there. You posted the links. Thank you, Luann. Okay, so in your chat box, all the links should be there. I guess the main link works then. That is, of course, the toddsuggest.com/green. Let me see if sales are coming through on that, as a matter of fact. And it appears that that must be working, because there's some sales coming through on that. Again, it's toddsuggest.com/green. Now, if the OTOs are fixed, we could show the OTOs, right? Green OTO 1, green OTO 2. Let's do that. A lot of folks are asking about that. We're going to look at the OTOs and see what they are. Hope that's helpful. If I could just in my browser window. So far, green OTO 1 isn't coming up. Let's take a look at green OTO 2. That didn't come up either. All right, Dinesh, what's the story there? Just wait. Clean my browser cookies. Great.
Hi, it's Cipriano again, and I'm excited to share with you how you can...
Thank you. All right, 20 pre-made professional high-definition videos in super hot niches for local business. Yes. Look at that. Now, in OTO 1, there are some that you could use for Video Pal, by the way. I'll show you those in just a moment. That's OTO 2. Then the OTO 3 must be the resale rights. So we have accounting, air conditioning, auto repair, cardiology services, carpet cleaning, computer repair. For those of you that aren't familiar with this, and most of you are, you would actually go to a local business and say, hey, we have a commercial already done for you. And, you would use these. Pool cleaning, travel service, rubbish removal. And we could look at any one of these, right? Photography services. Let's take a look at that one.
If you are looking for a professional photographer, then look no further. We provide various photography service, including wedding, portraits, and etc. With our outstanding customer service and proven track records, our customers keep coming back for more. And with our strong passion for photography, we guarantee you the best service you will receive from us. So get in touch with us today to discuss your needs, and we will not disappoint you.
And let's take a look at OTO 1, because there were some Video Pal-oriented ones in there. Yeah, Dinesh, I don't think it's my cookies, because I wasn't using Chrome before. I think folks just have to be patient.
Hey, it's Cipriano again, and I want not only to thank you, but...
I always call him Ciprian. Ciprian. All right, look at this. 250 extra virtual sets is in OTO 1. 30 spokespersons. Notice they're in front of green, including a bright green that you could use so easily with VideoPal. All of these can be used with VideoPal. Let's see, for those of you who have VideoPal, let's see what it would actually look like. Let's look at this guy.
They say ignorance is bliss, but is it really? Imagine how it would feel if something like this happens to you. A family goes home only to find the door open and furniture or valuable items gone. Or this, an office worker comes to office every day to find the office has been broken into with valuable items like laptops and documents missing. Would you really be in a state of bliss? We're here to help you. We are not the alarms and security service providers you need. We are the alarms and security service providers you deserve. Get an affordable and trustworthy security system installed today. Contact us today and get an obligation-free quote.
Well, it was interesting because it was long, but not longer than 2 minutes, so you could actually put that in VideoPal for those of you who have VideoPal. Let's see if we could find an even better one. Let's watch this woman.
Looking for a tanning salon? You found the right place. We provide you with friendly service and the best tanning salon experience. We genuinely care about our customers and go above and beyond to provide the best customer support with 100% satisfaction guarantee. We do these things and more while providing you with the best tanning products at a good value. Our trained and highly experienced staffs will work to make sure you receive the best method for your skin type.
Pretty exciting that you could use that in VideoPal just by plugging it in, for those of you who have that software. Then 300 pieces of stock footage are included. As I showed you, not all will be suitable to stand in front of. And you also get video script software, 10 lower thirds, 1,000 graphic images, 100 audio tracks, background tracks to add energy and emotion to your videos. Survey Spark is a WordPress plugin that lets you create and publish awesome online surveys, which is important. That's how I originally started, by the way, is by surveying a very small list and moving from there. All for $47. And that includes the developer's rights as well. See that? So that applies to this, and it applies to your original purchase, the developer rights, so you could use everything for other clients. Let's look at that one more time. 250 extra virtual sets is in OTO1. 30 spokespersons and 30 high-demand niches set against green, and 300 stock video footages. All right, let me go back to your questions. Before we break, and I send you back to that original link, let me make sure that you know that everything's being posted in the chat in terms of the links you should be going to. My partners, Dinesh and Luann, are manning that right now, and they've been posting that. Let me put it back on your screen. The thing with the Mac is you can just press this button, and then everything pops up so you don't get too lost. And here it is, toddsuggest.com/green and toddsuggest.com/green OTO1. Now, as a reminder, for those of you that just showed up today and would like this background, we're going to post that on that bonus page. Dinesh, if you make a note of that in case it's not there, toddsuggest.com/green. This one. There we go. And you can check that later if it's not there yet. And for those of you that also want my Camtasia training, in addition to what I showed today, I'm going to go dig up that link, and we're going to send that to you, or you could request it. And one of the ways you could request things from me is to be going to this email, or even better, your green screen guy at gmail.com. Greenscreenguy@gmail.com is one way to reach me. And we all have access, me and my partners, to that. And we'll post in the chat link as well. Greenscreenguy@gmail.com. That link is my email to reach me. So if you have any questions from this webinar, you're still not able to get through to get Green Screen Academy 2, you want more information about using with Camtasia, whether you purchase Green Screen Academy 2 or not, or you want more information about what I showed you in terms of the various outdoor considerations when you pick outdoor shots, feel free to write me at that email address. While I have you here for the next couple of minutes, any other questions? Can I sell my sound effects? Bill, write to me, and I'll talk to you about that because I'd be glad to offer that to you at almost, very, very, very low cost. And I'll even, get my stream sound on there too. I have to pick it off of that of another video because I have a few stream videos, and I'll pick it off of another video, or I'll get it from somewhere else, and I'll give you some stream sound. That was funny. I couldn't find of all the things because I shoot so many streams. You've got to see how many waterfalls and streams I shoot, and I didn't have a sound effect for it. The prices be after the 21st. Yeah, we had a list of those prices earlier. And let's see, what's today? After the 21st, it's going to be $47. Again, if you can't get this until the 21st, and the price is $47, and you don't know what to do, write to me at that email address, greenscreenguy@gmail.com, and I'll absorb some of that. I'll send you money back in PayPal. I'll absorb some of that extra. Don't worry. What is VideoScript on OTO1? VideoScript allows you a way to actually make scripts more easily, automatically for videos. It's a video scripting tool. You kind of fill in the blanks and poof, you get a video script. It's really very handy. Do I have a VideoPal link? Yeah, VideoPal is really interesting because it's just videopal.io. So videopal.io. And you should check that out. OTO3 is an invalid link. Okay, we'll check into that. Eric says you're a total beginner. We have total newbie training for someone starting in IM stuff. Well, we're really video oriented here, and I know, as you say, it's a critical component that you know nothing about. This becomes kind of easy after you first get into it, but in terms of actually doing internet marketing things to help you make money online, I may be able to give you a couple of pointers on that if you write to my email address. Thank you, Eric. It says, Jim, okay, the webinar you just did on Camtasia is worth $25. I didn't show that much. Now I feel guilty. I have to show more. I have a painter coming at 11 o'clock, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes ago, he should have been here. Otherwise, I'd stay on with you longer because now I feel guilty. I didn't show enough. I could show you my trick, too, in Camtasia about increasing the saturation when you're having trouble getting rid of the green. Maybe I should do that. Will the Camtasia training go out automatically to buyers? Yes. Anyone that's on this webinar. So we have a list of the people on this webinar. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to tap into that list and then send that Camtasia training to you as a follow-up. Renee says, I also got OTO2. Thank you. We'll be able to purchase the upsells later. You will. Other people won't because they won't know what the links are. But you will. You know that the links are toddsuggest.com/greenOTO1 and greenOTO2, and we're still looking for OTO3. VideoPal affiliate link. Don't worry about the affiliate link. I'm one of the owners. So just go ahead to videopal.io, but thank you for asking. That was very nice of you, Clay. What kind of videos do I use for video in the background monitor? All right, so you could show a news clip in the background monitor. You could show just an e-box cover, of an actual still shot, like an e-box cover, if you're talking about product, that kind of thing. Okay, Matt Houghton, you're talking about Matt Houghton. He's another green screen expert. They are down. He did not disappear. What happened was we were hacked on his green screen offering, and he has it in a different location. All the information is on another server. If you write to me, I'll get in contact with him, and he'll get you all that information. My apologies. That was a terrible, terrible breach that site had, but we did retain all the information for you. Again, a question about the Camtasia tutorial. Yes, there is a separate Camtasia tutorial. I did it for VideoPal folks originally, but it shows a lot. And, it may not make 100% sense because there was a product that was also mentioned in it, but it'll make a lot of sense. And we're going to get that to you. OTO2 was 19 or 17. I think it was $19. Rob's asking about how much OTO2 was. OTO3, I don't know the price, Rob, on OTO3. As I said, I got so into the low price of the main offer that I didn't spend time. I spent time on tweaking this presentation that I did today. Is Camtasia 3 just like Camtasia Studio 9? It is. They're almost identical. Camtasia 3 is for Mac. That's what you watched me use. And I have now used Camtasia Studio 9, or looked it over closely, and I noticed it was almost identical. Do I have a Mac teleprompter recommendation? No, Jeff and Vicky, but I do have software that I use on my iPad for teleprompter, which means, of course, I'm reading right into the camera. You could contact me at that email address, and I'll tell you which software that was I use on my iPad. Lewis says, thank you. Do I have, I am so impressed you guys hung in here. I really thank you for doing so. Do I use that email to request Camtasia training? Yes, you can. In case it's taking a while and you're not getting it automatically, use that email as well. You have all the bonus backgrounds already from previous offers. Do I offer? I do have other outdoor scenes. You could write to me, and I just don't have them all in one place. I will have to give them to you sort of piecemeal. But I actually have more than doubled my collection, and as you can imagine, and I have plenty of other things that nobody else will have. Yes, that video and the Camtasia training will be on the bonus page later. The Camtasia training itself is going after purchase. It's not going to be necessarily right on that page, but that video of the stream we're going to put on the bonus page. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me by email. We'll follow up. The OTOs would follow as after you buy the front end. Yes, Bruce, of course. And if not, you have the links to them now. They're in the chat box. Dana, yes, in terms of Matt's green screen products, just write to me. I have spoken to Matt fairly recently, just a couple of weeks ago, and he has been providing links to all the stuff. Okay, Rob, you have to go. I understand. We will get a replay, and we'll edit it down so you don't have to, sit. And we'll have the Camtasia training on it, too. Yes, DaVinci is not the same as VidDinci. No, Gary. DaVinci, that's funny because when he did VidDinci, I was a little bit confused myself. VidDinci, I think, is from Explainio's group. And DaVinci is, this free public domain, extremely powerful video editor. My affiliate ID is 1051, Dana, yes. I can't get the main offer until after the webinar is over, says Alexandria. Okay, well, the webinar is about to end. Also, you're a part owner of Video Wave. Am I? I don't think so. OTO3 is $19. OTO2 is $47. I'm a great teacher. Thank you, Bill. Is it okay to grab a YouTube Creative Commons video and put backgrounds? Yes, there's some debate on that. You should try to see if it allows you to do the commercial. Is your painter painting your rooms green? No, black doors. He just rang the doorbell too, so I have to run. All right, thanks everybody. VidDinci, you're right, Gary. Wait, I have to correct myself. VidDinci was our product we did for DaVinci. You're right. Oh my goodness, how could I forget? Too many things going on. Thank you everybody for hanging in there. I've got to run. The painter's here. You know the links to try. Hopefully all the links will be fixed by now, and thanks for your patience, and we'll get that stuff to you. Any questions, just write to me at that email address.